Omar here, broker and CEO of Alden Mortgage and Ome Realty. So one of the things that always comes across my desk, especially when I am dealing with people who are shopping around, is closing costs. Are these closing costs set in stone? Is this the amount that I have to pay? Is this what I'm going to be going to pay? And how do I negotiate them? Is it a possibility to even negotiate them? Well, a lot of people that come to a lot of loans that I get across from my desk from other lenders, nobody tells them that you could actually negotiate pretty much everything other than your taxes, transfer tax and all that other stuff. But as far as title fees, escrow fees, origination fees, all of this stuff that has to do with any third-party company, right? If you have a title company, whether it's Old Republic, Chicago Title, any one of these major title companies, or if you want to go with a smaller title company, these are all negotiable items. So in this video, what we're going to do is exactly how you negotiate them, what to do, and how do we get forward to go ahead and make sure that you're not paying an exorbitant amount of cost on each and every single one of them. So the first part of it is going to be your origination charges, okay? So in the midst of actually doing the whole mortgaging process, whether you're refinancing, whether you are purchasing, whatever you're doing, okay? Now, every single lender out there has a base parameter of exactly how much they charge per loan. When you come onto the broker side of things, it's a little bit different versus a depository institution, because the depository institution will go ahead and do something where they'll have a face rate and then they'll have an APR. Now, the APR is always going to be different than the rate. The note rate, the face rate is what we call it, that is actually going to be on the low side. The APR is actually what you're paying on the mortgage. So whenever you are out there, trying to negotiate rates, trying to go ahead and compete with one lender to another lender to another lender, and however you're doing it, make sure that not only do you look at the face rate, but you also look at your APR and see exactly what are you paying for that loan amount specifically. So when it comes to closing costs, now for instance, typically on the mortgaging side, anything under like $400,000, we're typically on the origination charges of it to go ahead and compensate for, the loan amount versus exactly what we're selling to you is between 1.75 to 2.25. That's how much we make on the mortgaging side for anything under $400,000. Anything above that, we kind of bring it down to like maybe 1.25 or 1%, depending on how big the loan amount is and how much we are competing. Now, with that said, so for instance, if we go ahead and buy a mortgage at 3.5%, right? At 3.5%, that is a complete wash. At 3.5%, you're making $7,000, $8,000, $9,000, depending on, how much your commission rate is. And that will go ahead and give that 3.5%, hypothetically speaking, we're in April 2022, there's no more 3.5%, but there is. Like, subscribe, comment, all that, and I will put up another video. Actually, I'll do that in this video, and I'll later on in the video, I'll tell you how you could go ahead and still get a lower interest rate rather than the 30-year fixed rate that we have. But anyways, so what we do is whenever you go ahead and send us a locked loan estimate, and this is part of the negotiating and your closing costs, but whenever you send us the locked loan estimate, we will go ahead and say, hey, is this worth for us to go ahead and try to compete with this other lender, with this other brokerage, whether it's a correspondent or a direct or, credit union, well, whoever it might be, right? So this, you'll go ahead and go from one lender to another lender to another lender, and then you'll go ahead and try to compete one with the other. Now, just mind you, no lender will ever compete with another lender unless you actually have a locked loan estimate. That means that they already ran an AUS on it, which is an automated underwriting system, and we actually know that you are approved for that loan. We will typically ask maybe for an approval letter to make sure that we are good to go. And then you could go ahead and jump from all places here and there, however much you want. Now, the biggest thing that a lot of people also ask is, hey, what about my credit? Every time I go to another lender, they always want to run my credit. Well, let them. It's fine. From the moment you get your first credit pulled by a mortgaging company like myself, right? You have typically roughly about 60 days to go ahead and shop around without getting dinged on your credit at all. So if you want to go ahead and run it 1,000 times, by all means, on your credit report, it actually knows that you are shopping for rates and you're shopping for a mortgage, so you will not get dinged every time. I think the total will be between 3 to 5 points on your credit that'll get hit because it's a hard pull. And then after that, it just becomes a soft pull. Then the next step is, after you go ahead and do that, you negotiate and you're happy with those terms. Number 2 is going to be title. Now, typically, title and escrow usually go hand in hand. But if you are a savvy person and you want to go ahead and put that extra little bit because you want to go ahead and pinch dollars and pennies, well, you could go ahead and separate the escrow company. You could go ahead and separate the title company. You could make this escrow company compete with another escrow company, because these are what's called shoppable items. Now, whenever you go to the title company, I already have a pre-negotiated rate with 3 or 4 different title companies, depending on where in California that we're at, because Northern California is different from Southern California, and I am a mortgage broker here in the state of California. So if you do want up to 50% commission rebate on your next real estate purchase, 0% listing fee, or any mortgaging product at all, link in the description below. But now that I'm done with that shameless plug, so what you do is, hey, who do you have for your title company? I'll be like, you know what, in this region, my representative in, I don't know, let's say, for the sake of argument, I'm just going to pick a big company because I use quite a few different companies. You know, Chicago Title. Okay, Chicago Title is a very, very big company. Old Republic Title, a very, very big company. Hey, can you go ahead and negotiate these specific rates? Because they'll give you, whenever you go ahead and submit a loan, and then you go ahead and open up title and escrow, they'll go ahead and give you an itemized cost sheet of exactly how much they're going to charge for each and every single one of them. Now, if you like to, you are more than welcome to go ahead and call that title company, or you could call another title company and be like, hey, listen, this is what I have. Can you beat this? It's very, very simple, but this little mistake could cost you thousands of dollars, because some title companies, they put in some exorbitant amount of fees, because let's just face it, in the world of real estate, majority of people who are purchasing or refinancing, you have absolutely no idea what you're doing. You have no idea how much a typical cost would be on let's just say, a notary or servicing, administration fees, or any type of settlement costs that they might have. You don't know. Now, we, on the other hand, do. Now, we could go ahead and tell you, listen, that is way too much. You shouldn't be paying that much for it. This is good, just a stupid amount that you could pay. You know what? That actually is a really, really good. That's actually the going rate of it. So that's where we come into play. Escrow company is the same way. Escrow company, for the most part, I'm telling you, escrow is probably the simplest job you could possibly do in your entire life, because all they do is they have a bunch of account numbers. Once the money goes from the wholesaler that we send to, or if it's a depository institution like your JP Morgan Chases or your Wells Fargo or your Bank of America, they get money that's going to get sent to the escrow company, and the escrow company just has instructions to go ahead and transfer the money from this person to this person to this person. Literally like 15-20 minutes worth of work, nothing. So should you be paying $700-800 for an escrow company? Absolutely not. That's a ridiculous amount that you could go ahead and pay for it. No escrow company should ever cost that much, but that's where we come into play. And then you get the chance to go ahead and be like, you know what, this is what this person's charging me, this is what this person's charging me. How much will you go ahead and charge me on these settlement charges? And then most of them, if they don't really know closing costs, so ask them settlement charges. Like, how much is my settlement charges on exactly this? What are my closing costs? Exactly how much can you compare apples to apples? And they'll give you a detailed list of exactly what they charge. And then you could kind of just jump around and go from there. Or if you have your broker, tell them to go ahead and shop around. I don't feel comfortable with this. And they might go to like 2-3 different places, and they'll be like, you know what, you pick whichever one you like, because of course it is your hard-earned money, and you don't want to go ahead and, you know, you don't want to leave any money on the table that you don't need to, because let's face it, when you're buying a home, when you're buying anything, especially when it comes to real estate, it's super expensive, super duper expensive. So as far as negotiating your closing costs, these are simple things that you could go ahead and do. A, you're going to go ahead and jump around from lender to lender, broker to broker, credit union to credit union, whoever you like. And these are things I am not supposed to tell you, because I don't want to start competing with a bunch of other people. But because it is beneficial to you and it's going to save you a little bit of money, I make these videos just to go ahead and help you out. But remember one thing, depending on who you go to, sometimes that will never ever be the best lender, the best broker to go to, because the worst thing that you could ever have whenever you are shopping for a mortgage, whenever you do go into the process of whether you're purchasing, refinancing, or anything, is actually having somebody who doesn't respond to you at all. What assholes. They do that. It happens all the time. Now, I'm not saying like your big banks are the worst. I'm not saying credit unions are the worst. I'm not saying brokers are the worst. I'm saying that in every single area that you go to, there's going to be a few that are just going to be, they're just not going to do what they're supposed to do, and they're not going to provide you with the service. So, A, are you going to be paying $200 to $300 more? And if you are you going to get that $200 to $300 more? So the biggest thing is always ask, what's your response time? Ask every single person you deal with, ask them what their typical response time is if you have a question, if you have something that's going on. Do they give you daily updates, every other day updates? These are very simple things that, as far as servicing loans and the service part of our job, this is the most important part, especially for me. I typically give on a daily basis an update. No change today. Hey, just wanted to let you know there's no change today on your loan. It's still in underwriting. I'll give you another heads up tomorrow. This way, you're just not feel like you're ghosted. Now, some online people will go ahead and do that, and you don't have to take my word for it. You could ask any single person. You could go and ask any single brokerage, any single, big bank retailer. You could go to your Bank of America, your Wells Fargo, and go talk to a loan officer and be like, hey, what do you think about some of these online lender guys? And they'll all tell you. They shouldn't badmouth them, but typically what we always find is that they are very, 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 as far as response time, they're the worst as far as response time, because they have and it's not their fault. The loan originators that go ahead and take the loans, as far as on these online people, online brokerages go, is that they are only there to, because they're making very, very bare minimum. So they're just going to do the bare minimum. So if they're getting 10, 15 loans every single day, chances are they're not going to give the full undivided attention that you need. So does paying an extra few $200, $300, $400 actually benefit you? Absolutely, because the worst thing is, and your local real estate agent will tell you this, whoever you're working with, they'll tell you that find somebody who's always punctual, that's always on top of everybody, who's always on top of title, who's always on top of escrow, who's always on top of the underwriters, somebody who's going to make sure that this loan closes, because the biggest problem that these online retailers have is that they will not close. Now, is that the same for brokers and banks? Absolutely not. Plenty of them actually are the same exact way. That's why it's very important for you to go ahead and say, hey, what's the turn time on this? What is your turn time to respond to me? Can I text you? What are your operation hours? What time do you not stop responding? Now, of course, when you go to the broker side of it, like myself, we don't really have too much of a non-response time. I respond to people. I sometimes sleep 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and I wake up around 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. So I don't really sleep too much, and a text here and there is not going to kill me, especially because, let's face it, our job is not that difficult. It is very, physically, it's not difficult. You kind of just sit your ass on the chair. You don't really do much. You crunch some numbers and you make sure that people get their shit together. That's it. The details of it, yes, it takes a lot of head work, and it's very, very difficult when it comes to that, especially when you get to weird situation. But as far as negotiating your closing costs, as far as making sure you save yourself some money, and if you don't have a broker that already has those lined up, that's how you negotiate your closing costs. Well, I hope this has helped you out. I'm not going to do another shameless plug because I don't really need to, but the intro music, I am going to start doing this new thing where the intro music, I'm just going to go ahead and start doing different intro musics, and then I'm going to go ahead and put the full song at the end of it, just for your enjoyment, because I think it's great. And if you don't like it, well, don't listen to it. Don't listen to it. But I hope you like the content, and if you do, please like, subscribe, comment, and I'll put out a bunch of other mortgaging videos, real estate videos, other videos that probably will pertain to some things that you do. Because let's face it, sitting in the office on my ass all day, this is actually a nice little segue to get out of the rut of things. So if I could help out some people out there, that'd be awesome. Well, like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Until next video, guys, I appreciate you watching. Thank you so very much. And next video.